Extraordinary Women Awards celebrates the power, passion, and impact of women. Every woman holds value and strength, but some go beyond ordinary and shaping lives for others, inspiring a change and leaving an extraordinary impact in their fields. This prestigious award program recognizes those exceptional women who have made significant contributions to enhancing the quality of life in Indonesia. Aparna Bhatnagar Saxena. Hi, Aparna. How are you?
Hi, I'm doing well, Jyoti. How are you?
Very well. So, Aparna, you're being awarded for the Entrepreneurship and Social Impact Award for Indo-Indians. Well, let me share a little brief to our audience about you. Aparna Bhatnagar Saxena is the CEO of Torajamelo, is a dynamic leader, environmentalist, and impact entrepreneur dedicated to sustainability, ethical business, and women's empowerment. Under her leadership, Torajamelo has evolved into a B Corp certified ethical lifestyle brand, advocating for slow fashion, indigenous empowerment, and ESG driven growth. Beyond Torajamelo, Aparna drives conscious consumerism through Ahana, where she's a founder, and promotes impact investment via Vriksh Impact Partners, where she's a co founder, supporting women-led and plant-based businesses. She's an active force in Jakarta's sustainable community and a valued member of the Indian diaspora there. Her leadership has earned international recognition from UN Women, PETA, UNESCO, and the Global Green Environment Foundation. As Indonesia's lead for Asia Cup Network, she fosters entrepreneurship across ASEAN, championing values of gender equality, sustainability, and ethical business. Aparna's visionary approach and commitment to impactful entrepreneurship makes her a deserving recipient of Indo-Indians Extraordinary Women in the category of entrepreneurship. Wow, now that's commendable, and congratulations to you, Aparna.
Thank you, Jyoti. It sounds a lot, but it just comes together around the realm of impact.
Yes. True, true. So, Aparna, you've built a great and a strong reputation as a leader in a social entrepreneurship. What inspired you really to begin on this journey?
Very interesting question. So, I would say since a very young age, I've had a very feminist upbringing and I grew up in a very green township, right? So, I guess those two combined brought in the love for social justice, equality, and environment. And then what I learned over a period of time in my career was I was attracted to causes that were attached to women, environment, and education. Yeah. So I think it just became a gradual part of my journey that I would look to make a difference in these areas and then create impact in those areas. And hence, when I ended up leading Torajamelo, it was just a culmination of all these values coming together and me being able to action that through my work.
Yeah, lovely. So, from growing into an environmentally friendly place into making this into a passion and a profession has been a very, very, hard journey, I'm sure. Would you like to share a bit about that?
Thank you. Yes, has been actually extremely challenging, and I call myself a seeker of challenges. I tend to go to places where it's not easy, but it becomes an enriching journey, right? So,
Yes, yes.
uh, so right from a very young age, right, from choosing mechanical engineering to doing MBA in operations, so being in places where there were not enough women, I think sort of brought up in me the drive and the resilience to go for what I believe is the right thing to do, irrespective of the barriers I'll face, as long as what I was
Yeah.
doing was right. Yes. And and essentially, I think then when I moved, careers, countries, there was always challenges in adaptation. You're judged on your gender, you're judged on your status. So I think those have sort of become a given. Yeah, you accept it, you take it in your stride. Adapting to different cultures is what is another interesting aspect, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Different
Absolutely.
so that was there. And then I think finally with leading Torajamelo and founding Ahana, it was the fact that I'm going to be starting to work at grassroots level with indigenous people, local communities. So, and Indonesia is multi-plural, really varied, like
Yes.
India and more, which means adapting to those cultures, but not losing yourself. You get it? So you have to
Yes.
adapt, you have
Yes.
to come to table with them. So I think that has been quite challenging. And I'm telling you, the question on gender and then your nationality never goes away. But I think what
True.
kept me going was the fact that I'm here to work with the people to make a difference. And as long as I'm tied to the vision mission, who I am, where I'm from, what is my gender,
Doesn't
etc.,
matter.
doesn't matter. Yeah.
True, true. So, Aparna, receiving this award from Indo-Indians, is like also another feather in your hat. And what does this award for social entrepreneurship mean to you? How does it add to your credentials?
Honestly, I think it comes in as a sign of maybe acceptance, right? And also tells me to stay grounded and humble because Indo-Indians has been the community, right? Poonamji is known. She's been here for
True,
so many years. So it's a community that's really worked very strongly to foster these ties, right? So being
true,
appreciated
true,
and shows that yeah, your work is getting accepted, getting known. And while we do not work for accolades, the fact that it's reaching out to a wider audience and getting accepted, I think
true.
brings in even this strong sense of responsibility that you've got to keep going. Yeah. So I think that's what it means for me. It means that I feel good that I've been appreciated, and
Appreciated,
also then
appreciated.
reinforces in me the drive that I will continue to be committed and I will continue to
True.
collaborate and work to take this
Ab-
mission forward.
Yeah, absolutely. All awards are very, very encouraging, and you feel, it's something has been accepted and recognized. So that's lovely. You work very closely with a lot of marginalized communities and artisans and women-led businesses. How do you ensure inclusivity, sorry, and long-term impact that your business has, or what kind of initiatives do you lead in that sphere?
Very, this is a very good question, and I'll be very honest, Jyoti, it's very challenging, right? So
It is, yeah.
what we try to do is through our work, we try to minimize
Mm.
the barriers that can get created when you try and work as an outsider, right? Because what can happen is it can further create inequalities, right? So, what
True,
we try to do is when we go into any community, we take that community as an absolute and we try avoiding using our prior knowledge to stereotype them, right? That they are like this and
correct.
their challenges. So, we try to take them in their whole absolute, and then we look at an ecosystem approach that beyond the craft of backstrap loom weaving, what else can we work on or collaborate on such that they are economically resilient and independent? And it goes beyond just the direct artisans that we work with so that there is an ecosystem approach. So that's what
Okay.
we are trying to do. To be very honest, it makes our work much more challenging because,
Yeah,
it's easier to just directly go in and work on the area you're good at. But getting into areas where you might not have the expertise, but maybe that's where the community needs guidance or support, is
true.
where we have been trying to do. And that will remain our core. So, our whole idea
Yeah.
is actually to have a reality where they do not need a Torajamelo anymore. They are economically
Yes.
independent. They are buying and selling with each others and others, and they're working with each other across the value chain. So I think that's
So
the
give me an
yeah.
example here. Yeah, that's exactly what my next question planned was. That, from your experience with Torajamelo, how can you integrate businesses sustainably into their core operations, still maintaining profitability?
Great question. So I think you have to find the balance, right?
Yeah.
So businesses are meant to make profit, but businesses can also be tied to a purpose, which means
Correct.
which means I am not just working to increase the profitability and gains of the shareholders, but the stakeholders, which means
Absolutely.
which means that when we are looking at working with communities, trying to find production partners, we have a clear guidance on who are we looking for, right? What is the criteria? And against that criteria, we balance out that it shouldn't be at the cost of us being sustainable. You get it? What I
Correct.
mean by that
Yeah.
is we do exclusive connections as much as possible, because that creates dependency that if we get affected or they get affected, each of us will suffer. So one of the
True.
ways we try to maintain that is avoid exclusive agreements with any community, any partner, but align
Okay.
on certain templates of quality and benchmarking, that these are our standards and expectations, or this is
Okay.
what we will provide you. And with
So it's
that,
like a
then
little SOP that you have.
indeed, yeah. So very, very tight SOP, and it's the same principle with Ahana, that it's not working with everyone, but it's
Yeah.
people who are willing to work with us on that criteria. And
Correct.
then applying the fundamentals of business, right? First principle, that you always try to optimize the cost and
True.
maximize by choosing the right products, the right target market. So that's been the journey. And the other is, be very mindful that we are an impact business. So you get it, both are equally important, so not
Correct.
lose sight of the either. Because often what happens with non-profits is, because we think we are making impact, we forget the fact that we ourselves need to sustain, right?
Sustain. Correct. Correct. Correct.
And on the business part, what happens is, we see something attractive, we want to go for it, but we minimize on our values and impact, right? So
True. True.
essentially, we're operating that fine balance, right? Sometimes
Yeah.
one will
Yeah. Yeah.
be
Yeah.
the other, but it will never be nullified. It will never be a
True.
zero sum. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's a lot that you are doing at Torajamelo. I want to understand Aparna behind Torajamelo. So in your perspective, what is leadership? How do you define it? What are the qualities that you seek? And what has been your inspiration, the leaders that you have looked up to in your career and imbibed some qualities from them?
Okay. So I've had inspirations from multiple people. So there's not one single leader, that I've looked up to. But first, maybe let
Yeah,
me come back to my definition of a leader. I think the definition of a leader also evolves depending on what stage of life you're in, what
true.
stage the vocation you're involved is in. But what doesn't, I think, what has been non-compromising is the fact that high integrity, right? For me,
Yeah,
leadership
yeah,
means
yeah.
high integrity and very strong set of principles and values that you will not compromise on, right? That remains integral to
Correct.
you. But what you will adapt is your style, the way you will exhibit your leadership, right? So you will apply situational leadership in situations, right?
Yeah,
But you don't compromise on that core. And I also appreciate leaders who have made decisions, who have taken things into context, but taken decisions which they believe will make sense for their organization or business, not looking at popularity points, right?
yes,
Because
yes.
often
True.
people think being nice is being a good leader. No, it is not.
No, no.
Do what is right in overall sense,
Correct,
of
correct.
things.
Yeah,
So I think that's been my guiding light. And then as we grow in our careers, right? Initially we are hesitant. So we all have in us that drive to look good. For me, it's not, right? For me, it's important to do the right thing. Even if in the short
yeah,
term I might not be looking so good to a wider audience, but eventually it pays out for the business, the mission, and the values we are driving forward. And
yeah,
coming to your question on who I admire, I think Indra Nui, right? Because she
yeah.
landed places. I also love the tennis player Steffi Graf, right? So when I
Okay, yeah,
grew up looking at her,
yeah.
to a certain extent, Narendra Modi ji, right? For all
Yes,
he has strived to do and bring India to the level, because I've been out of India for 15 years and I've seen how our outlook has changed outside.
True, true.
Then finally, I love the temperance and the discretionary way of speaking of our foreign minister Jaishankar, right? So
Okay.
I really like the way he expresses it, and also the late Sushma Swarajji, right? The
Oh,
way
yes.
work for
Commendable.
yes.
Yes.
So I think all these people in different ways they took a stand, they pushed things forward, right? And then finally I have to wrap up and say also my father to a certain extent, because from him is where I think I got the drive to always go against the tide if it made sense. Yeah, he
Yeah.
was my first champion. And even if my mom had doubts, my daughter, my father would be like, I trust her, she will figure it out. And I think that instilled in me the drive that as long as I know what I'm doing is right and is
Yeah.
not going to cause undue harm, I'll go ahead. So I think these are the combination of leaders or people in my
That's
life.
actually very beautifully summed up. Child's first heroes are the parents, and your dad's been the inspiration to begin. And then you've got a great set of, heroes in your life because, yeah, I admire most of them as well. And you're absolutely right. We need to have a great set of values, which are our foundation. You have to move with the tide, I understand, but a great set of values which take us further ahead. That's a setting stone. It's been very, very interesting to hear your journey. I want to understand now that you've been there for so long and you're involved deeply with this work. What are the next projects and initiatives that you have lined up in, let's say, the next few years, or you want to, make it few months and then few years? Up to you.
So, I think one of the first things I noticed when I moved here was that India and Indonesia are so similar, but still
Yes.
haven't been very deeply involved, right, on certain areas. I think that I learned
True.
even when I
True.
was here 7 years ago. So, one of the things that we are now working on is to really foster those ties across business, culture, and even education, because there is a lot these countries can do with each other, yeah, which we have
True.
not
Yeah.
explored. So we've actually signed up an MOU with Tribes of India, so the Tribal
Yes.
Marketing Federation Corporation. Their products are with us here in Indonesia. We're going to be working with them to see how they can take stories of Indonesia to India, right? So that's one of those. We were there for Adi Mahotsav representing Indonesia. So that
Okay.
part has been initiated. We want to do more and more cultural exchanges. We want to host cultural and exchange festivals. So this is all planned in 2025 onwards, right? And we want to take that to the business level. So Ahana already stands for the global south. So our roots are in Indonesia, but we represent the global south. So we've
South.
already started working with some partners in India and in exploring Thailand, Vietnam. So our plan is to
Okay.
really develop these cross-cultural, cross-border ties and essentially make this South-South collaboration more stronger, and
Okay.
then look outwards, right? So these are the things we're really working on. And the second is to keep working on greening our supply chain by collaborating with, various partners,
Yeah.
and target the markets, outside. So not
Yeah.
just within Indonesia, but taking this outside. So these are the
Okay.
focus areas we're working on for the next, I would say, at least 1.5 years. Yeah, that's the data.
So, as a woman entrepreneur, is there any one major change that you would like to make or address in the world of social entrepreneurship?
Okay, I would say as a female entrepreneur, I would first of all not just limit it to social entrepreneurship, but in the world of entrepreneurship is we have
True.
to get beyond the gender, right? So we are always called female entrepreneurs or
Yeah. Yeah.
female. First of all, I think the world needs to know there are CEOs and that's it, right? And
That's true.
yeah, and stop. categorizing and creating stereotypes of what you expect from a female CEO versus a male CEO versus
True.
any other, because that tends to create more barriers, and we are judged on things which people have assumed around our gender rather than around our work, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
judges for being an effective or ineffective leader, and not because,
Yeah.
oh, as a female, she should be
I'm a woman.
that.
True. True. True.
Because I have seen that, and we can't just say this is about Asia, by the way. This is a global thing,
It
Jyoti.
is. It is.
And I think we need to just get beyond that, right? And we need
I
leaders,
agree.
and we need leaders now who care, who are aware, and who make decisions that are based on longer term, impact, and for a greater good rather than for immediate. Because another thing that's happened in the world of entrepreneurship or even social entrepreneurship is we are all attracted by quick gratification. So you make quick decisions that make sense at this time, but you're not realizing the impact that can happen when you don't have second order thinking. Yeah. And
Yes. Yes.
that's why the world is where it is. So I think it's high time we got our act together, think in terms of longer term impact, which requires collaboration and that thinking of working together rather than working in our silos.
Yes.
Because that's something
Aparna, very,
yeah.
yes. Very well said. However, if I may, I would like to also add that there are women like you who are also inspiration and a source of motivation for the young girls. You know what happens is, I agree, there shouldn't be gender-based CEO. A CEO, as you rightly said, has to be known for the work that they do and not the gender that they carry. However, we're talking about Southeast Asia, where a woman coming so much ahead in their careers is also a big inspiration and motivation for all the younger girls, especially in tier two, three cities and countries. So definitely, as a woman, that has to be applauded because you do bring in a lot of encouragement to the younger lot who's wanting to move into entrepreneurship and they don't know how to go about. So you guys become an inspiration to them.
I
So
agree. So, Jyoti, you're really right in that. And thank you for bringing this up. So, that one was on leadership, but on representation. So, you've really touched a point on
yes,
representation. We are 51% of the world's population, including Indonesia.
true.
If
Yeah,
we have a seat at the table, then clearly there's something wrong in the decision making. So, I agree.
absolutely.
What we need is more females, more role modeling, because then only it becomes relatable. So I
Yeah,
couldn't agree more, right? I think this step is needed.
yeah,
But I wanted to highlight is judges on our work, but not on our
yes,
gender. But
totally
we
agree.
more of us there because over thousands of years we have not had the opportunity also. So this is the
Yeah,
time
yeah,
that opportunity is extended to us so that other women around, other girls around see that I can do this is
yes,
possible. My gender should not stop me, and I will reach
true.
out and ask for support. So I couldn't
Yes,
agree more that we need to step up the game there too.
yes, totally agree. Totally agree. So I would like you to close this by a last question. And what message would you like to give and share with the Indo-Indian communities and any aspiring change makers who are watching this globally and in the Southeast Asia? What would you like them to take this forward as?
Okay. So to the communities, please support and applaud females, right? There's still a lot of unpaid caregiving females take care of, which is not recognized and
Yes,
appreciated in addition to leading. So please come and support. We need the allies because
yeah,
no leader has ever managed this alone, right? They always have a
yes,
support system irrespective of the gender. So I really implore the extended community to come out, support, recognize. And to the women and girls who are listening, you can do it, right? Reach out, create a support network, reach out to me if I can help and share you, incidents from my journey that can help
yeah,
inspire you. But it is possible, and we also need to step out and try it is okay to try and fail, but let's try together.
Try. Yes, very inspiring. Thank you, Aparna. Thank you so much. And congratulations once again for receiving the Indo-Indians Extraordinary Women Award. Very well deserved and lovely having a conversation with you. Thank you for inspiring a lot of our audience here.
Thank you, Jyoti, for this opportunity, and I'm looking forward to catching up with you in person soon.